All right, what is going on, Catch fam? It's championship weekend. We're a couple games through already, 3 games on Christmas Day, all wrapped up, and we just had that Saturday night slate finished up as well. So, a lot to get into tonight. Still, just a tough week 17. Week 16 was tough to prepare for. Week 17 also tough to prepare for. So, gonna wrap up the season here with one last fantasy Q&A. Whatever you guys need, start sits, roster reviews, who's out there on the waiver wire, injury updates, weather updates. How did the Saturday night games impact you? All that good stuff. How did the Christmas Day games impact you? Whatever you guys need, let's do it one more time. Fantasy Q&A. Get in the live chat and let's run through it. So we'll kind of start here just with a couple updates for some of these Sunday games and then go over very quickly some of the things that just happened in the Saturday games, including a monster performance by Derrick Henry, 4 touchdowns, 216 yards on the ground, 36 carries, 6 yards per carry. What in the world? I mean, is Derrick Henry. I don't think, it's the biggest surprise here, but 4 touchdowns in the fantasy championship. This is why you never bench a player like Derrick Henry. Okay. It's always there. It can always happen. The Ravens with no Lamar Jackson definitely we're leaning on Derrick Henry tonight. Zay Flowers, a decent game in that same matchup at 13 fantasy points. Nobody else for the Ravens really did anything that we need to go over. Christian Watson, a big game, had that early touchdown, 22 points for him. Josh Jacobs, I don't know what in the world is going on with Josh Jacobs. Just 4 carries, 1 target, 1 catch. Barely getting any usage. Emmanuel Wilson, I mean, he barely got any usage either. So just a weird game there. We did have some, players from the Chargers Texans game. Also have some big fantasy days here as well. Nico Collins, basically a dud, 8.7 fantasy points, was basically useless outside of week 15 for the fantasy playoffs. So that stinks. Dalton Schultz, if you're streaming him, just 4.9 fantasy points. Woody Marks did have an okay game on the ground. And that's kind of been the story of Woody Marks the past couple of weeks. Like, okay on the ground. And that's it. Did not find the end zone. Looking at just 5 touchdowns on the fantasy season, 2 on the ground, 3 through the air. In terms of that game, like we saw random wide receivers like Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins have the big plays, so a bit disappointing. And then flipping over to the Charger side of things, it was at least nice to see Omarion Hampton have a solid game and come up. If you held on to him all year long after missing most of the season, nice performance last week, big performance this week at 20 fantasy points. Ladd McConkey did nothing, 4.1 fantasy points. Keenan Allen, who at this point in the season shouldn't have even been rostered, is 2.7 fantasy points. Good old Quentin Johnston came through, 14.8 fantasy points. And then Aronde Gadsden did show up with 12.2 fantasy points. So that'll do it for the Saturday games. And you guys can let me know how they impacted you, of course. We'll quickly just take a look here, then I'll hop right into your guys' questions. Looks like Trayvon Henderson has clear concussion protocol. He is set to play against the Jets. Going to be a must-start player in my eyes. Looks like Devontae Adams is not going to play on Monday. Theo Johnson is out for the Giants, which is kind of random. Roma Dunze is out. Luther Burden will play for the Bears this weekend. Harold Fannon's been dealing with a groin injury, but it looks like he is set to play. George Kittle will be a game time decision, and that is not great news because it's Sunday Night Football. So if he's a game time decision, we're going to be waiting like all day essentially for that one. Outside of that, nothing to really go over. So let's quit wasting time. Let's get into your guys' fantasy questions. That's what's important anyway. So hope you guys are doing great. Hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas. Hope you guys are enjoying hopefully some time off with friends and family and loved ones and all that. And hope the holiday was great for all you guys. And like I said, let's do it one last fantasy Q&A. All right, Michael Wilson or Michael Carter in the flex. Yeah. This one's tough. Like I ended up benching Michael Wilson in a very big league, benching him for Jalen Waddle. I mean, it's a dynasty league, so three wide receivers, two flexes, and yeah, I don't know. You look back to last week, right? Michael Wilson had 3 targets, 2 catches. He's had like that crazy touchdown. Outside of that, he did nothing last week. And Cincinnati is not bad against the wide receiver position. They've allowed the 4th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. And now they're awful against the run. They're awful against tight ends, but still, even in the last 2 weeks, 10th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. And in the last 4 weeks, the 2nd fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. Plus, we kind of have this effect here of Marvin Harrison Jr. Like when he's in the game, I don't know what it is, but Michael Wilson just disappears. And Michael Wilson is expected to play here in week 17. And you would expect that Trey McBride is going to see a ton of volume. I mean, this matchup, if you own Trey McBride for the fantasy championship, it's just not fair. It's not, as the Bengals have allowed the most fantasy points to tight ends on the entirety of the season, an average of 21.9, basically 22 fantasy points per game to the tight end position. So you got to expect that Trey McBride's going to be a big part of this game plan. And I also think that Michael Carter should be. I mean, it wasn't an awful matchup last week and he hardly did anything, but he did have the most carries of any running back on the team at 11 total touches. So, with all that being said, the Bengals have also given up the most fantasy points to running backs on the season. So I do lean Michael Carter just based off of everything that we go by. But man, Michael Wilson still feels like he has somewhat of a floor, right? I mean, you got to expect the Bengals, the Cardinals this game, Jacoby Brissett, Joe Burrow. There's going to be points scored. So very close. If we're looking on matchup and the trend on the season, Michael Carter is the better play. If we're just looking at actual production, it would be Michael Wilson. So this one's super close. We'll say Michael Wilson gives you the floor. Michael Carter gives you upside. All right, J-Dubs, been a good season. Looking forward to tomorrow's slate. Absolutely, man. It has been a great season, and I'm happy that we've seen some oddity this season. Some teams show up in the NFL that we weren't expecting. Some teams not go in the playoffs that are usually there. And I think it's been a good fantasy season overall. Looks like J-Dubs, me and you fighting for 3rd place in the 1QB Dynasty League, and we've got a pretty close matchup. 129 to 130 is a projection. I had both of the Lions wide receivers, and J-Mo did nothing for me. So good luck, man. It should be fun. Good to see you tonight. What's up, Kelly? Let's see here. Full PPR, Trevor Lawrence or Drake May. Let's start with that side of the question. I think I'm going Trevor Lawrence. And, I talked about this in the nuclear video. Players that will go nuclear. Like, basically, I'd start Trevor Lawrence over any quarterback this week outside of maybe Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, but I would say Drake May is right there in that conversation. I really like Brock Purdy this week as well. But speaking of Brock Purdy, he just put up 5 passing touchdowns last week against the Colts. Trevor Lawrence on the road here against the Colts this week with 10 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Last time he played them, he had 2 passing touchdowns and 19.3 fantasy points. So I think the floor is just so safe with T-Law, but the upside is there. We look at the playoff picture right now. I mean, the Jaguars are in, but they have not clinched the division. I mean, the Jags are 11-4, the Texans are 11-5, and the Colts were eliminated from playoff contention today, so maybe that impacts this matchup, right? But it could impact it from the Colts side of things, right? If the Texans had lost today, then the Colts would still mathematically be in the playoff picture, right? And that would mean maybe more competition from the Colts, maybe more competitive game script. But I don't think this changes things from the Jaguars side of things, especially being that this is a divisional team. So I think the Jags are going to come out here and really try and do whatever they can, obviously, to win this game. So, I think I lean T-Law. But in that same breath, I mean, the Patriots are going to want to win their matchup this week as well. And they have the Jets. But I just had this bad feeling that Drake May is not going to really need to do anything. And that the Patriots are just going to run the football a ton. But Drake May's floor is very safe. You really can't go wrong here whatsoever. Plus, in terms of the Patriots, every wide receiver not named Stephon Diggs is hurt. Kyle Williams will play, but like Demario Douglas is hurt. He's questionable. Then Mac Hollins and Kayshon Boutte are going to be out. So could be without a couple wide receivers as well. So I still like Drake May a lot. I won't be surprised if he outscores Trevor Lawrence, but I think the upside lies with Trevor Lawrence. I would play T-Law personally, but you can't go wrong. You really can't. All right, flex, pick 2 out of Swift, Pollard, Bucky, A.J. Brown. Yeah, I'm probably not benching A.J. Brown. It is kind of tough, though, because it's not a great matchup, and the Eagles really don't have anything to play for. Like, better seeding in the playoffs, I guess, but, like, they're one of the teams in the playoffs right now where, like, I mean, everybody else in the NFC East is long gone. They have all been, out of the playoffs for weeks now. So there's not really like, anything that they can play for except for different seeding. But I don't know. I do kind of worry about that. And the Bills have a lot to play for because if the Patriots lose, then the Bills are right there. It's going to come down to week 18 in terms of who wins the AFC East. So, I kind of do worry in a sense about AJ Brown, but I would find it tough to bench him this week. So, I think I would go Swift and AJ Brown. Pollard is probably okay here as well, but I don't know. The Saints defense is not awful. Pollard only had 10 fantasy points this past week. Bucky, like, it's a good matchup. They got everything to play for. But I don't know. Sean Tucker, he's been stealing touches. If it was me, I'd probably have Swift and AJ Brown him. But definitely good options here. Loveland, Taysom Hill, Brenton Strange. I would roll with Brenton Strange. The Colts have been abysmal against the tight end position. And I don't know if there's going to be a huge need to necessarily target the tight end. Last week, Brenton Strange was a big part of the game plan as, the Broncos defensive backs were applying a lot of pressure to Jacoby Myers and Brian Thomas. Don't know if that's exactly going to happen this week, although it looks like Sauce Gardner is going to play. I still like Brenton Strange the best here. So I go T-Law, Swift, AJ Brown, Brenton Strange. But you have a lot of good options here. So, trust your gut. But that's just my 2 cents. And thank you for the super chat as well. All right. I will go through the entire chat here and get to every question. Just bear with me, guys. If you need your question answered right away, you can send a super chat. But I'll get through everything here. Ramondre or Henderson or sit both and play Bucky. I would just play Henderson. I do think Ramondre and or Henderson can both coexist in this game and have a good game. And maybe there's a world here where Travion is a bit limited. They don't want to risk anything. They're going to need him for the playoffs. So you could kind of have Ramondre, regardless of the status of Henderson, has had 10 or more fantasy points in the last 3 games. So he's kind of like, if you want the floor, he'll give you the floor, and the potential for upside is there if he does score. And this is a game where both these running backs can score. But if you're just going for pure upside, it's Henderson. And I do think I would rather play one of the Patriots running backs over Bucky. Although I'm not out on Bucky, I am concerned about his usage as of late. Igbuka, Kyle Williams, or Thielen. Yeah, we're getting deep here. I go Kyle Williams, I think. I do think that he's going to be a big part of the game plan. I'm not going to go out of my way to start him necessarily, but in a situation like this, we've already touched on it, right? The Patriots are missing a lot of their wide receivers, and this Jets defense is just bad. So I don't foresee a tremendous amount of volume, but we've seen the Patriots find ways to get Kyle Williams involved, and he could certainly show up. I think, of course, there's a world where Igbuka could always do something. Thielen feels like it's almost too good to be true. The game plan is going to turn into the tight ends and Kenneth Gainwell and Jaylen Warren. But there's not really any wide receivers here. No DK Metcalf. Thielen did have 4 targets this past week, 8.9 fantasy points. So him and MVS will be involved this week. It's going to be a crapshoot of an offense, and Calvin Austin is out. Yeah, so man, they got nobody out there. Scotty Miller, I guess Roman Wilson, but I don't. In the championship, man, I think I just roll with Kyle Williams. The Steelers are not a bad team per se, but the Bucks have their issues, right? But the best offense here is the Patriots. So if I'm in a situation like this, I'm just going to roll the dice on who is the best overall offense, and they have a great matchup, right? Rico, Pollard, Estime, Khalil Shakir, Luther Burden, Kyle Williams, no Mac, no Booty. I would just go with the players here who've given you the best volume on the season. More than likely, I'd probably just roll with Pollard and Rico Dowdle here. I think you could slide in Luther Burden. I mean, I do really like one of the matchups that I really like this week is the Niners and the Bears. So if you wanted, some exposure to that, I think that's fine. But still, coming off of this injury, could be a little bit of risk there. But he will get involvement for sure. No Romadunze out there. So his floor feels pretty safe. And the Niners, certainly a defense that is very banged up. Still technically on the season, 13th worst team in terms of fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. The problem with the Niners is they're so banged up, but Robert Saleh is just a great defensive coordinator. So for the floor, I'd play Rico and Pollard. If you feel like you need a little bit more upside, you could swap one of them for Luther Burden. Hurts or T-Law need upside, then I will go with T-Law. Yeah. And one thing with Jalen Hurts this week, I mean, Hurts is always safe, and he's a very difficult player to bench at any time, right? But Buffalo, this matchup, the Bills have allowed the 5th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks on the season. So it's a bit of a tough matchup here. And we do know that the Bills are very bad against the run. It's the weakest part of that defense. So should see a good amount of Saquon this week as well, I would expect. But yeah, upside lies with T-Law for sure. Best start this week, Tyler Warren, Tunges, Barner, Waller, Mayer. Yeah, I mean, really any of these guys could outscore each other. I feel like a lot of, there's no in-between with Tyler Warren, right? What we've seen with Phillip Rivers at quarterback is he is getting a lot of targets to Tyler Warren, but so far Warren has 3 catches in the 2 games with Phillip Rivers. And since week 13, he's had no more than 3 catches in a game, and one game with just 2 catches. So he did have 9 targets this past week. And I mean, I will say Jacksonville is not great against the tight end position. It's the weakest part of that defense, bottom 10 in terms of fantasy points allowed to tight ends. But San Francisco was not an incredibly difficult matchup. Seattle was not a bad matchup, and it just didn't happen. We have seen that there is some life and heartbeat with Rivers at quarterback, right? But even go back to week 14, that was a game he had 2 catches. That was against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, we've already seen some positive signs for Tyler Warren, and it just hasn't happened. So the targets and volume have been there, but I don't know if it's going to get past that or, mean anything more than that. I would consider going Barner here. Tunges is an interesting play, but I always kind of worry about throwing a player like that into the mix. I mean, we have seen him produce earlier in the season, so I guess that helps. Probably makes you feel a little bit better. He did have some good games. He had a touchdown last week that everybody's moved along as soon as it was called a non-touchdown, but it was a touchdown. Chicago, not great against tight ends. So maybe Tunges for the floor. I do like AJ Barner here as well, though. But this matchup for Seattle this week, I think this is a sneaky little matchup here. And I do kind of worry. In Seattle, they're not great against tight ends either, but AJ Barner's always risky. So Tunges for the floor, Barner for risk, but maybe some more upside. Tyler Warren, the signs have been there. It's not happening. Kittle's out. Who's the better start, Tunges or Barner? So yeah, I guess this kind of plays off of each other. I mean, yeah, once again, Tunges for the floor, Barner for upside. Start 2, Kyron, Hampton, and Carter. Well, Hampton's already played, so hopefully you played him. He had a good game, and I would still go Kyron here. If you didn't play Hampton, then you got to go Kyron and Carter, right? If London is out, who's the best starter? Mooney, Kyle Williams, Coker, or Burden? At this point, I would just go Luther Burden. Yeah, should give you that floor and has that touchdown upside too. Need upside for the Rico question. Yeah, I would go Rico and Pollard there still. Cam Little or Harrison Mevis? There's a question. Now, Mevis has just been like quietly pretty dang good the past couple of weeks, right? They face Atlanta. They've given up the third most fantasy points to kickers. And they are kind of one of these defenses that can kind of stall offenses. And that's something I look for. Like I actually like sometimes going up against better defenses when it comes to kickers. So I like Memphis this week. I think he's in a really good spot where like the Jags facing the Colts. I mean, Cam Little's also been super solid the past, couple weeks as well. The Colts defense, I don't know. This one's very close. I'll go Mevis, but it's super. You really can't go wrong. They're both going to be solid options for sure. What's up, Chase? Pittman, Charbs, or Monungai in the flex. You already got Walker in the mix. Yeah, that one's tough. Now, when we look at the Colts wide receivers the last 2 weeks with Phillip Rivers on the field, Michael Pittman has benefited the least, right? We saw Josh Downs score against Seattle. Then he had enough involvement and 9 targets this past week, still had 11.8 fantasy points. Alec Pierce, nothing against Seattle, but this past week, 2 receiving touchdowns, a lot of red zone looks. Pittman and just really nothing. 5 targets each game, but, not a whole lot. Essentially, more than likely because the number one defensive back's on him in the games. So I don't think I can lean Pittman. It's not a bad matchup. The Jags are pretty weak against wide receivers. So the problem with the Colts wide receivers is it's kind of like Russian roulette. Like any 3 of these guys can go off at any point, right? Difficult to read on a week-to-week basis. I don't dislike Charbonnet this week. I mean, we look at the matchup here. The Panthers bottom 10 against the running back position on the season, but they haven't been awful like over the last 2 weeks or 4 weeks. It just kind of been like okay. So it's not like it's an amazing matchup, but yeah, Charbonnet and Walker obviously huge games last week. It feels like forever ago, that Thursday night football match against the Rams, but man, and then like Monungai, it's like the same type of evaluation, right? But we're just looking at the Browns back, or excuse me, the Bears backfield, and against the Niners, it's not the worst matchup, not the greatest matchup. Like it's kind of right there in the middle. Monungai really hasn't done a whole lot the past couple of weeks. He just got a couple catches this past week, and that amplified his fantasy upside and got him to double digits. But man, call me crazy, because you feel like it's week 17. You feel like this is not going to happen again and not going to work. You feel like Charbs and Walker are going to let you down. But I think that's who I would play. I mean, the Seahawks want to win this game. I mean, they're trying to clinch the number 1 seed in the NFC, and the Panthers are trying to secure a playoff, spot, right? It's between basically everyone in the playoff picture is in, right? And then we got the Steelers, Ravens, Panthers, Bucks. 2 of those 4 teams are going to make it. One on the NFC, one on the AFC, and the Panthers, if they win this game, they move up to a 58% chance to win the NFC South. It's a very close race there. So we'll see, man. But I think I would lean with the Seahawks running backs. Doesn't feel good though. Henderson cost me a championship, lost by 1 point, going to 3rd and 4th now. 3rd, I had Henry tonight. But anyways, Henderson or Kyron. I mean, I still think the safer play is Kyron. If Henderson wasn't coming off the concussion, it would be Henderson for sure due to the matchup. I mean, the Jets are the worst defense in the NFL right now. In terms of, fantasy points allowed to running backs, it's kind of hard to look at the rankings over the last 2 weeks because right now all the 5 teams that played this week already equated in. So that ranking doesn't really count, but they are in the bottom 10. And in the last 4 weeks, which is probably the best measure for us to go off based on where we're at in the week, they've given up the second most fantasy points to the running back position. And on the season, they've given up the fifth most fantasy points to running back. So it's a great spot for Henderson. But Kyron is still in a really good spot. The floor is very safe, but he will get touches, or split touches with Corum. So just got to take that into equation. Kyron has the floor. Henderson has the upside. All right, Dart or Darnold. Man, I really don't like either of these guys this week. I mean, Dart is in the better spot. And like I told you guys all last week, I did not like Dart, but I didn't expect him to have one fantasy point. I mean, 7 of 13, an interception, 33 passing yards, 7 yards on the ground. That was it. But that Minnesota defense is no joke, man. This week he gets the Raiders. They are a joke, but they don't give up a ton of fantasy points to quarterbacks. But this is really a situation where, like, they're just a bad defense and quarterbacks don't need to do a lot against them. And they're really bad against the run. No Max Crosby. Basically nobody important for the Raiders playing this week. I think I go Dart. I mean, the problem with Darnold is like, yeah, he, had that huge game last week, but I don't want to say huge game, but had a good game last week. He's just been so sporadic. Just look at the last 4 weeks alone. 3 fantasy points, 23, 11, 21. And I have said it for weeks and weeks and weeks. The Panthers are not a bad defense. They're just a sneaky defense. They've given up the 8th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks on the season. They are good at limiting the quarterback position and the wide receiver position. Even over the last 4 weeks, the 10th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks. So I'm a little worried about our guy, Sammy D, this week. I think I will go Dart, but in a sense, I'm also a little worried about Dart after last week. Seattle or Saints defense. Here's another thing. I got a lot of questions about Seattle this week, and I mean, the Panthers are not a team to stream defenses against. They're just not. That narrative has kind of gone away. I mean, technically they're in the bottom 12 in terms of most points allowed, but a lot of that equates back to earlier in the season. Like, we look over the last 4 weeks, the Panthers are top 7. Like, this is not a good spot for defenses to go against. So I would rather play the Saints against the Titans, but with that being said, the Titans have not been nearly as bad. 15th overall in the last 4 weeks in terms of fantasy points allowed against defenses, but still on the season, the 5th most. So the opportunity's there. But they've certainly improved. And on the flip side, the Saints have also improved because they still rank bottom 10, but that's another offense that has drastically improved. So there's concern both ways here, but I would rather risk the Saints. Messed up bench Malik Willis in a 2 QB league. Would you flex Bryce Young? Would you go the running back? I'm a Manungai and Charbonnet is on waivers. Yeah, that one's close. Sucks that you didn't play Willis, but I can understand the hesitation. I mean, Bryce Young's probably going to secure you like 15-ish fantasy points. What's the upside, though? I mean, he's had 19 or more fantasy points 4 times this year. Is it going to happen against Seattle? I don't know. It is a must-win game for both teams. This is going to be a good matchup. But Seattle, the 10th fewest fantasy points of quarterbacks on the season. Generally speaking, when it comes to like super flex, double quarterback, I'm just going to roll the QB out there. But if I had to go with another option, it would be Charbonnet. Starting Lundo, need one. Luther, Robinson, or MH. I would go with Luther Burden out of those options. Loveland, Barner, Taysom. I would probably play AJ Barner, but listen, when it comes to Taysom Hill, you guys had to make the call this week. Do you trust Taysom Hill in the fantasy championship? I mean, He caught 4 of 6 targets, 36 yards, threw a 38-yard touchdown on his only passing attempt, and he ran for 42 yards. I mean, the matchup is there against Tennessee. You know, I mean, all the Saints have is Estime at running back. And, I mean, Chris Olave is expected to play, but he is technically questionable. So it's there for Taysom Hill. He should be involved. The upside lies with Taysom if you need it. All right, flex Swift, Stevenson, or Michael Wilson. I still think the safest player here is DeAndre Swift, and I like the matchup. I don't want to end up being disappointed by this Bears-Niners game on Sunday Night Football, but man, this just feels like a good game in terms of potential fantasy points scored. The Bears want to win this game. The Niners want to win this game. There's playoff seeding and implications here. Man, the NFC is so open for the number 1 seed. It really is. Because you got the Rams, Niners, Bears are all 11-4. The Eagles are 10-5. The Seahawks are 12-3. So the Seahawks lose. The NFC number 1 seed is wide open, right? The Packers are going to be a notch down losing tonight. And they also have a tie on their record. So, but yeah, I mean, both these teams are going to want to win. I think I go Swift, but Stevenson should be very safe here. I don't dislike Michael Wilson, but I'm concerned due to the matchup and with Marvin Harrison Jr. playing. Once again, guys, I mean, the Bengals are not bad against wide receivers. I've said it all year long, and it's been that way all year long. They've given up the 4th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers, and this is going to be a big Trey McBride game. If there's no Marvin Harrison Jr., I play Michael Wilson, but man, I'd probably just take the floor with DeAndre Swift. Start Michael Wilson or Jacoby Myers. I like Jacoby Myers a lot this week, and I still like him a lot. But I will say with Sauce Gardner expected to play, that probably hurts him a little bit. At the same time, Sauce Gardner could end up, on Brian Thomas. Kind of like last week, we saw some Pat Surtain on, or actually a lot of Pat Surtain on Brian Thomas. So the better matchup still lies with Jacoby Myers. I lean Jacoby Myers here. Burden or Pierce in half PPR. The floor is with Burden. The upside lies with Alec Pierce. Full PPR need 1. Taysom, Chig, Gesicki, Tunges. I would say Tunges for the floor, Taysom for upside. Lundo or Michael Carter. I mean, I am to a degree worried about Drake London, but if I own him, I'm probably just rolling with them. I think there's too much upside to bench him. But Carter's a good option in terms of a floor if you need to roll with him. What's going on? I got 2 questions. Carter or Jennings? I'm definitely going Jawan Jennings. Yeah, against the Bears. Jawan Jennings been on absolute fire, man. I'm definitely playing Jennings if I got him. I mean, he's had a touchdown in every game except for 1 since week 9. I mean, at some point he's got to stop scoring touchdowns, but against the Bears, I don't know if this is going to be the week. They've given up the 3rd most receiving touchdowns to wide receivers. Excuse me, they're tied for the 2nd most receiving touchdowns allowed to wide receivers on the season. And they have given up the 7th most fantasy points to wide receivers on the season. So it's a good spot. I talked a lot about Jennings earlier in the week, and I still like him. He'd be in my lineup if I got him. Taysom Hill or Barner. Barner will give you the floor. He's going to be touchdown dependent. Taysom Hill, it's risky. You got to look deep into your heart if you're going to start Taysom Hill this week, but the upside is definitely there. 6-point passing touchdown, point per rushing first down. Lawrence or Stafford? I mean, you really can't go wrong here, but I will go T-Law. But if you go Stafford, I don't have any problem with it whatsoever. Both are very, very good options here. And in that conversation of I would start T-Law over any quarterback almost, Stafford's up there too. Basically got Allen, Hurts, May, Stafford, Purdy, T-Law. Those are the quarterbacks this week. Burrow, Brissett. Yeah, I like Caleb Williams a lot this week too. What's up, Albert? Good to see you, bro. Strange or Loveland? I would personally play Strange. What's up, Cinnabon? Good to see you. I'm looking good, but I'm never satisfied till, it's not over till the fat lady sings, is what they say. So I have Henry in another championship game. And then in that same league, I benched Christian Watson kind of last minute, like sometime yesterday or the day before. And usually I would play him in the flex there, but I put Blake Corum in. And I was kind of worried with Watson being questionable and then Malik Willis at quarterback, not knowing what to expect. So that would have given me a huge advantage. But right now I do have a huge advantage because I also have Henry in that league. But yeah, I mean, it's looking good. I was at first feeling a little like, man, Zay Flowers is going to do nothing in this game. I should have, benched him for Michael Wilson or Parker Washington. So when Zay Flowers scored, I felt pretty good at that point. But yeah, you got to feel good. But, I mean, Spencer has a lot of really good players. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Either way, it's been a fun year in that league for sure. King Henry got me a chip, most likely. Let's go. Yeah, like I just said, I'm never happy till it's completely over, and for sure. So I've seen so many things happen over the years, being in so many different fantasy leagues that you just never know. But if you got Henry right now, you got to be feeling pretty good, right? Brissett or T-Law? I'm going to go T-Law here. I do like Jacoby Brissett a lot still this week. I know this past week wasn't great, but you got to imagine Burrow versus Jacoby, the matchup of the century. But in all seriousness, both these teams are going to come out here and sling it. They got nothing to play for. The defenses are going to be half asleep, and it is a really good matchup. I mean, the Bengals on the season have given up the 5th most fantasy points to quarterbacks, so you got to feel good there for Brissett. But I'm just rolling with T-Law into week 17 if I got him. Tony, what's going on for flex? Hendy or Genty? Oh man, that's close. Yeah, Genty is like the one Raiders player standing alive here. He gets the Giants. Man, I think I got to go Genty. It's so close. The only problem with Henderson is like we know Ramondre will get some sort of volume, right? Whatever that may be. And maybe they want to try and just like give Henderson a bit of a rest, even though he's active, because they want him for the playoffs. They don't want to risk any concussion re-aggravation or whatever. So you're not going to get a bad play here. The Jets right there with the Giants in terms of like bad run defenses. But technically on the season, the Giants have been worse. As of late, the Jets have been worse, though, over the past 4 weeks or whatever. So it's close. But yeah, what are the Raiders going to do this week? Like Bauer's not playing, Max Crosby not playing, the Giants playing for nothing, the Raiders playing for nothing. The defenses are unlikely to show up, although, we do have some questionable quarterback play here. I think I lean Genty, but it is so close. Can't go wrong. What's up, Smokey the Cat? Good to see you. I hope you had a Merry Christmas as well. Don't have King Henry in my lineups, but thankfully now he did my opponent. Sometimes that's all that matters. Good to see you, bro. All right, Big Lou, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, full PPR. We got Robinson, MH, 80 Mitchell, Buka, Parker Washington, Tyler Warren. I would play Robinson against the Raiders, Parker Washington against the Colts. At least he gives you that upside. Then I know it doesn't feel good, but I would just start Marvin Harrison Jr. Full PPR, 1 flex. We need Ramondre, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Robinson, Burden, or Pearsall. I would play Ramondre. Safest floor, but the upside is there as well. So I go Ramondre. Robinson's probably okay. Burden's probably okay. Great matchup for Ricky P if he plays, but I just am a little bit worried about him coming off of a different injury like every week or whatever. So or here's your could pick up Burden or Parker Washington. Sorry. If you guys send a revised chat, I still see the original chat first before I see the revised one, so my bad. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Brees Hall needs to be rostered. I've been saying it for a week or two now. I don't think he's playable. I would rather. I think I just go Ramondre. I think I just play Ramondre against the Jets straight up here. But Burden and Washington are not bad options here. All right, let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Stuck with Dart or Philip Rivers. Missed out on Willis tonight. Just didn't trust him. That's fair. But now I'm stuck with these two options. What would you do? I mean, I think I'd play Dart, but Rivers probably has some sort of a floor. Like they're gonna need to throw. So yeah, like I could see another 18-ish fantasy points like he had last week, 2 touchdowns, an interception, whatever. The Jags are going to be up on them, right? This game is in Indy. Phillip for the floor, Dart for upside, but more risk. What's the chance the Jags bench their starters since Colts are out of the playoffs? Well, the Colts are out. The Jags are in, but the Texans are just one game behind the Jags with that victory today. So the Jags have not clinched the AFC South. So it doesn't really matter what the Colts status is here. The Jags want to win either way. So maybe if the game gets out of hand, the Jags are up by enough in the fourth quarter or whatever. But outside of that, since we know the Texans have already won, if the Texans had lost, then maybe this would be a little bit different. But the Jags are going to probably have their foot on the gas. I would worry more in like week 18 if somebody plays in week 18. But yeah, this week I wouldn't have any worries about it. Start Jags or the Saints defense. Man, I'm worried about both these defenses. I know I had both of them in the video, and the Saints are a team that I was really high on in week 16, but Tennessee has improved offensively, and the Colts have improved as well. Jags probably the safer floor. The Saints probably hold a little bit more risk here. So I guess I go the Jags, but the Jags do still have weaknesses in this defense. The secondary is not outstanding per se. Bottom 12 against wide receivers, bottom 10 against tight ends, but they are very good against the run. Second fewest fantasy points to running backs the entirety of the season, and they're okay against quarterbacks. Not great at limiting the pass, but can apply pressure for sure. So it's close. Happy holidays to you, Dan. At Flex, who do you like this week? Half PPR between Hall, Diggs, or MH. I would go Diggs. Yeah, regardless of full or half PPR, I would play Diggs. This is a game that the Patriots will want to win, and they have a lot of injuries at wide receiver. Demario Douglas is banged up. No Kayshon Boutte, no Mac Hollins. Should be a big game for Diggs. So I would roll with Diggs. Fannin or Pitts, I mean, it's so close. You can't go wrong. I will say Fannin has like the groin injury, so if that worries you, I mean, he's going to play, but if that gives you any, you raise your eye or whatever, you could equate that in. But I mean, Fannin's been so good, but Pitts has been so good too. Unfortunately, neither the Browns or Falcons have anything to play for. So, there's nothing to really push for necessarily in terms of a narrative or game script, but I guess the Browns can play spoiler against the Steelers at home now that the Ravens won tonight. So maybe there's that. But yeah, the Falcons are playing for nothing. And the Browns are still playing for nothing. So your guess is as good as mine in terms of who will score more. They're both, as good of a start as you can get at tight end this week. Starting any defense against the Titans, a trap. Yeah, this is something, we've touched on and I just kind of talked about a little bit that the Titans are no longer this team that we can just bank on, opposing defenses. And like I even talked about it in the defense video early in the week, right? Because I did talk about the Saints in that video. And I do like them this week. I think they have a good floor, but the Titans and the Saints are two teams in the league right now that they're not playing for the playoffs, but they're playing for a lot at the same time. They are trying to see what they've got in their young rookie quarterback. So they're going out there every week and they're competing. And it's going to be a clash of offenses this week, I think. So I don't necessarily disagree, but the Saints still have somewhat of a floor. Can also play Taysom Hill. I would personally play Fannin or Pitts over Hill, but that's just me. Off the wall question here. In a dynasty league, do you think Jonathan Brooks will do anything? No, I don't. But I mean, he's on the PUP list, so you should be able just to hold him on IR. But if you're running into roster issues, it depends on your own belief level. I would say you don't need to hold him personally. By the way, for any of you guys who are in dynasty formats, I will go ahead and send the link in the chat, but make sure you guys are subscribed to the Dynasty channel, as we will be ramping up a lot of content on there. If you guys don't play in Dynasty leagues, go over there and subscribe and check out the videos. We're going to be putting out a lot more videos, but that link's at the bottom of the chat, and definitely hope you guys get versed on the rookie class and everything, and can end up helping in redraft as well. But yeah, I'll be open answering a lot of Dynasty questions over on the Dynasty channel this offseason with the guys from Fantasy Endgame as well. So make sure you guys go check it out and subscribe. Definitely helps. You are welcome, Kenny. Let's go. I feel like this season went by faster than any season ever. And I really am struggling to believe that we're in championship weekend already. Who would you flex? Robinson, Barner, Loveland, or MH? Probably Robinson against the Raiders. Feels like a soft game. The problem with these type of games, right, is like sometimes both teams come out and just do nothing. Like the offenses end up not showing up. But it's still a good matchup here against the Raiders. And I feel like the Raiders can be so flat. They've been the bottom 10 against wide receivers like all season. I think I just go Robinson here. What's your upcoming content this offseason? What's up, Gob? Yeah, like I just said, I will be making plenty of Dynasty content with the guys from Dynasty or from Fantasy Endgame over on our Dynasty channel. So make sure you guys are subscribed. That link is the bottom of the chat. But I will be putting out content on the catch still for you guys, at least one video a week. And then I'll, slowly ramp up going into the summertime and right into next season, right? But basically, I won't be, I'll have content through this channel and the other channel, the Dynasty channel, for the entirety of the rest of the year. So not really going anywhere anytime soon. And one thing that we are doing this year is doing a playoff fantasy league, so a postseason fantasy football league. So it's free to join. I will also link that down below. And you guys can sign up for free. And then just let me know if you guys sign up, because I'll be having league. The leagues are only 6 teams, but you guys can come join and play for free. And there are going to be up to $1,000 in free prizes as well for the top scorers across different leagues. So we did this a couple years ago, and I think it's a lot of fun, and just kind of keeps everybody engaged. So basically, we're just drafting fantasy football teams based on the teams that make the playoffs, and then it's a best ball format, and your teams just exists off of whatever players that you drafted and you accrue fantasy points based on what they do throughout the actual NFL playoffs. So I'll be making some content based on that, and excited to have some of you guys play, because we did this a couple years ago. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of content still here on the Catch and on the Dynasty channel. So everything will be on Discord and announced for you guys, so you guys can keep up and everything. You think the Colts will limit JT's touches? Maybe. I mean, one thing that I really needed to look into was like the specific incentives of players in terms of their contracts. Because like for example, if Khalil Shakir scores one more touchdown this year, he gets a $150,000 bonus. Like there's just random stuff out there. If Rico Dowdle gets another 70 scrimmage yards, he gets $1 million bonus and one more touchdown, a $250K bonus. Like there's certain players. I know Stephon Diggs is a big one. He's 4 catches away from $500,000, 131 receiving yards shy of another $500,000. Jawan Johnson can add $250,000 to 67 receiving yards. Like players like that. Saquon Barkley, 155 more yards from scrimmage to earn $250,000. Jawan Jennings needs to be on the field for 35 offensive plays. This is so random. To make $2.4 million. So I would imagine he will be on the field, right? But yeah, I don't see JT in here. Tony Pollard's a big one, 151 rushing yards to secure $250,000 bonus. 2 more rushing touchdowns can add $200,000. Sam Darnold's got a ton. Yeah, Darnold's got a ton he can potentially make based on his contract. But yeah, I don't see JT, so not too many players. But something to keep in mind, if you just type in like NFL incentives week 17, you'll get most of them. But yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. I think he'll probably. I mean, if anything, it's still a bad matchup for JT this week. All right, let's see. I know Henderson is good to go, but I'm still scared to start him. I think the Pats won't play him as much. Should I start Corum? Corum will give you the floor. Henderson gives you that risk, but that upside. So it just depends for what you want to go for. I think we already got this one. I would flex Robinson. Etienne or Stevenson in the flex. I feel like the Pats would beat the Jets easy, not play Henderson. Yeah, and like we've touched on this throughout the course of the stream tonight, and it's very possible. I just think in general, I would play Etienne. I mean, he has been so good. And the Colts, as of late, have been kind of struggling against the running back position. Say the least. Oh, no, I take that back. I guess they've been a little bit better than they've been okay. I take that back. But I don't know, man. Etienne's been on a tear. I think I would just start Etienne. But I do like Stevenson this week. We've touched on it. You're welcome, Dan. Happy to help you guys. It's been my pleasure. Would you start Burden or Trey Tucker? Burden for sure. Yeah, I don't want anything to do with Trey Tucker. No, thank you. Full PPR, flex 2, Godwin, Igbuka, Corum, Brees, BTJ, Dylan Sampson, Dowdle, or Manungai. I would play Corum and Dowdle. But there's some names here: Godwin, BTJ, Manungai, even Dylan Sampson, right? With no Junkins. I'm going to take the safest floor if this is the pool of players I'm pulling from here. I'd go Igbuka and Dowdle. I do like Dowdle a little bit more now that we looked into those NFL incentives for week 17. Flex Burden or Mitchell. I'd flex Burden. I'm not touching this Jets offense. Start Burrow with Chase or Drake May. I mean, you really can't go wrong here at quarterback. These are two very strong starts at quarterback. Um, I kind of lean Burrow because I feel like there's more of a potential for a shootout that game. Like I just feel like with the Patriots, like, are they really going to need to pass? I mean, don't get me wrong, Drake May could put up 20 fantasy points in the first half or whatever, but I think I lean Burrow, but you can't go wrong. I don't think if you start Burrow or Drake May, it's going to like make or break your week. You know what I mean? I know Burrow had a huge game last week, but I think Tunges is a perfectly fine streaming option if you don't have anything better at tight end. Would Bucks defense be a good pickup? I do think they are a fine play this week. I talked about them in the defense video. You got to try it against Quinn Ewers. I can't say his last name. Quinn Ewers. I do have a speech impediment. If anyone cares, nobody cares, but it's come up on the channel before. And W's and R's next to each other. That's a tough one for me. I'm just laughing because if any of my friends were watching, they'd be making fun of me right now. But I mean, he was okay last week, 20 of 30, 260 passing yards, but 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. So the must win game for the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks defense is still very wishy-washy, They're okay play if there's nothing better. What's up? Epic Ape Fight. Burrow or Stafford. So once again here, like this is not one that's going to necessarily make or break the week, right? I don't think that there's a bad option here. I do feel like the potential for more of a shootout type game script is between the Bengals and Cardinals. But, the Rams are also in a position where they want to do whatever they can to win this game. So it's close here. I kind of lean Burrow in essence, but you can't go wrong with Stafford here, right? Jennings, Wilson, Pittman, Henderson. I'm going Jennings. I'm just starting Jennings this week if I own him. He's been on fire. It's another great matchup. It's a good game script. But I mean, Wilson can always do something. Henderson has a tremendous amount of upside too. Pittman's kind of been the odd man out in the Colts passing attack the last 2 weeks. Jags or Bucks. Jags give you a floor. Bucks give you the upside, but I just kind of worry this time of year. Like, it's just not a great spot for defenses this late in the year. You even saw the Texans defense bend a little bit. The Packers defense, like, they haven't been great as of late, but they just were non-existent tonight, The Vikings defense showed up. Like, even the Broncos Chiefs, like, the defenses are okay, but I don't know. Defense is going to be very hard to trust this time of year. I hope JT can at least hit near his projections this week. I think he will. But I've already been talking about Jonathan Taylor, for more than a week or whatever, as like he's just kind of a floor play. He did score this past week, so he hit 16.9 fantasy points. But yeah, like the last 3 weeks, 11.4, 13.1, 16.9. Somewhere in that range is where I think Jonathan Taylor will be this week. All right, I think the chat is repeating for me again. Yep. Let me get caught back up here. But yeah, I think JT is still startable for sure. But I think this upside is limited, definitely. RB2 is Michael Carter, but is it a 3 RB committee? Was considering Corum. Yeah, I mean, Carter has the matchup, but I think I just play Corum. Like, I do think Corum will uh, have a very safe floor. Like, I think both him and Kyron are going to. I do kind of like envision a world where the Rams just kind of go off this week and light up the Falcons, and like the Falcons have been an up and down team all year long, but I feel like there's a world where Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, like they just roll through the Falcons this week, and we see like Corum and Karin and Puka and Colby Parkinson, everybody score, especially Colby Parkinson since he did nothing last week. Um, but yeah, and like I think Corum still gives you a very safe floor, and that's what he's been doing for weeks and weeks. Um, so I think I just go Corum, but it just sucks because I really thought that Michael Carter through this end of the season stretch would be a thing. I mean, Corum has had a touchdown in 4 straight games and 13.1 or more fantasy points in 4 straight games. And actually, when you look at it over the last 4 weeks, he has scored 5 touchdowns, and Kyron has still been utilized and been efficient. But yeah, man, Michael Carter. Tell me how he had 13.4 fantasy points against the Texans in week 15 and then just 6.5 last week against the Falcons. It's a great matchup. And I don't know if I want to call it a 3 RB committee, but I mean, you're not incorrect. Like Corey Kiner had 6 touches, DeMarcado had 5 touches. Carter still had 11 touches and 2 targets, so the most volume, but only on the field for 53% of snaps. So it's a great matchup, but yeah, you do kind of sense that it's either going to be there or you're going to be disappointed. So at least Corum gives you the floor, right? I think I play Corum. But Carter does have the matchup if you want to go with it. What's going on, B. Hoff? Bucky or Jawan Jennings? I would personally play Jawan Jennings. I just worry about Bucky with the touches to Sean Tucker. I don't know, man. I've been pretty low on Bucky this week. And I do kind of envision a world once again here. It's a must-win game for the Buccaneers, and it's not a bad spot against the Dolphins. The Dolphins had improved a lot against the run, but then they kind of the last 2 weeks or so with nothing to play for, they've been pretty bad. So I was looking at quarterbacks. Yeah, they've still been bad against running backs. Man, they've actually been worse than I thought, but they had improved for a little bit there. So yeah, I could see a world where the Bucs just kind of show up this week in a must-win scenario. It's going to be really close between them and the Panthers. But Jawan Jennings, we've talked about him a few times. I just like Jawan Jennings a lot this week, and he just feels so safe. He's been scoring touchdown after touchdown, double-digit fantasy performances, and it's a great matchup against the Bears. Great matchup against the Bears. I would play Jennings, but I mean, it's hard looking at Bucky, 8.1 or less fantasy points in 2 straight games. Sean Tucker getting the goal line work. Let me see here. Got a super chat. Video game controller gives a thumbs up. Oh, that's the so funny how that comes through on my end since I'm using Streamlabs Talk Studio. Let's see here. Thank you for tuning in, Ty Gaming. I'll be starting Allen, Sutton, Vernon, Barkley, Hampton, Pitts, ETN, and the Steelers defense. That looks good to me, brother. Yeah, Hampton already got you a nice 20 points. Sutton was a stinker. I have a league in the championship where I had Sutton, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens. And I'm already I'm just projected to lose, you know? So these things happen. These things happen. But at least Hampton got you. Then Sutton still had 8 points or whatever. This could be worse. But good luck, man. And you were welcome. Happy to help you guys. All right, let's see. Why is Breece Hall's projection so high? I had no idea. I mean, I very rarely pay attention to the projections anyways, but yeah, he's at 8.3 or less fantasy points in 3 straight weeks. The Patriots have softened against the running back position. Remember early in the season, they were historic pace. They've still given up the 3rd fewest fantasy points to running backs, but over the last 2 weeks, the 5th most fantasy points to running backs. Over the last 4 weeks, the 4th most. They've been awful. So yeah, I have no idea. You're welcome, Jelly of the Month. Hoping for healthy games for Olave and London. I am as well. What's going on, Lightning McQueen? Burden, Tracy, or Breece? That's interesting. I kind of lean towards Luther Burden here. But Tracy's okay. I don't dislike Tracy necessarily. It's just kind of disappointing last week, but he did have 18 touches compared to Singletary's 11, and it was just a tough spot against the Vikings. So I might just lean Tracy here. The volume's there. It's a good matchup. I'd probably play Tracy, but Burden's okay. I would not start Breece Hall. Flex 1, Dowdle, T-Mac, Burden, Moore, Corum, or Hendy. Man, you got a lot of options here. A lot of guys who could outscore each other as well. I would say Corum has a very good floor, and I still think Tet McMillan has a solid floor here too, but not particularly a great matchup here for T-Mac. So I do worry about his ceiling. We're not that far removed from him having just 4.5 fantasy points. DJ Moore is going to get some nice involvement. It's a good spot. Oh, man, this is close. I would say Corum for the floor, Henderson for upside. I would say and sometimes this is just what the flex position is about. Is I know it's week 17, so sometimes you just want to take the safest play. But for me, sometimes I just throw that player in there who gives you that upside, and that is still Henderson due to the matchup. Ugh. At the same time, I really like DJ Moore, even with Burden back. I think that actually helps DJ Moore. And this Niners defense, it just doesn't scare me. It really doesn't. I'd probably go DJ Moore. It gives you a floor, but still has upside. Corum, if you just want the floor. Henderson, if you're just shooting for the upside and shooting for the ceiling. But a lot of good options here. Not discrediting any of the other players here. There's a lot of good options here. You're welcome, Behoff. About to be 2-time auction champ due to your wide receiver core. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were still in here, so I didn't shout you out. But yeah, man. You were kind of already going into the week with the advantage. Your team is you have Puka and JSN. So I was just, I was like, man, unless something, I kind of got some help when Ferguson got hurt, but Javonte 11 points, Hampton 20 points. It's basically over. Puka and JSN was a nasty combo. Then you got James Cook and Chase Brown. Yeah. I mean, it was going to be tough to hold you off. And getting off to a slow start, I was like, yeah, it's probably over. I'm okay with second place here. But, I benched Aaron Jones last minute for Zach Charbonnet, and that may have been a mistake. And I kind of been filtering Michael Wilson in and out of the lineup, so I'm not going to beat myself up too much if he has a good game. But my team was already very questionable as is. I was just kind of playing DeAndre Swift and random running backs, especially after J.K. Dobbins got hurt. So I was surprised they even made it this far. I do have a really good wide receiver room, but yeah, they did not show up this week. So we'll see. I got Purdy or T Law. That's a tough choice right there. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference though. Then AJ Brown's been questionable all week with his wisdom teeth. So yeah, man, your team is loaded though. Absolutely loaded. So we'll see what happens, man. Good luck either way. Need to flex to Tet, Michael Wilson, Henderson. I would probably play. I'll play Henderson here. I would take the upside in Hendo. I think it's worth it. Yeah, we've talked about T Mac tonight. It's just not a great matchup for him. So I do worry, but it's a must win game for both teams involved here. So that's beneficial. And Michael Wilson, like we know Michael Wilson can always pop, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is back in the lineup. The Bengals are not bad against wide receivers, as bad of a defense as they are. That's the strongest part of that defense. Very close. Very close. I think I would play. I think I'd bench T Mac. Is that crazy? I think I'd risk Michael Wilson in a game script that should just be a shootout and the defenses maybe don't show up. I worry about T Mac. The Seahawks giving up the 12th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers on the season. And like the problem with the Panthers is like, who else do you really need to worry about? Who else do you really need a game plan for? So, ugh. I think I just play Michael Wilson and Henderson. Loveland, Strange, or Parkinson. I would play Strange here. Yeah, I'd play Strange. Yeah. Leaning Strange, I'd roll Strange. Picked up Charbonnet. Yeah. Wilson and Henderson or Charbonnet and Henderson. Either way. Pick one for tight end and one for the flex. Strange, Hill, Mitchell, Sampson, Kyle Williams. I played Strange at tight end. I do like Kyle Williams this week, but he's very risky. So if you just wanted to go Taysom Hill, I think that's fine. But it's close. Pete, what's up, bro? Do you want to hop in? My bad. I'll send you the link right now. I don't know how much longer we're going to be live, but let me know, man. My bad. I saw that you were streaming earlier. I put it on for a little bit. Come join if you want to. Ty, start one. Coker, Pittman, or Pearsall. Man, it is a good spot for Pearsall. I just worry about Ricky Pearsall. I mean, he's still technically listed as questionable, but he did log 3 practices this week. It's a great matchup. We've already touched on it. And especially if Kittle doesn't play. I mean, it's a good spot at the end of the day, right? So, man, Jalen Coker did nothing last week. I mean, if I don't like T-Mac, how can I like Coker? But Pearsall's not going to play till Sunday night. I don't trust Pittman. Am I crazy? I don't trust him at all. I guess I go Coker. I mean, the odd man out of the Colts passing attack lately has been Pittman. This is not a good situation for you, Ty. Not at all. Not even close. Who are you leaning towards? I mean, I want to say Pearsall, but I don't know if he can wait till Sunday night. I guess Pearsall is trending towards playing, but he's so risky. I just don't. If Coker had a better matchup, I would say just play Coker. Very difficult situation there for you, man. Pete, I hope you win League 4. I was trash in that league this year. Would you start Henderson over Swift or Evans, projected as favorite? I'd probably just play Mike Evans. I think I'd have a tough time sitting him. If Henderson was not coming off the concussion, I'd just play Hendo for sure. And you can. I mean, the upside is there. But, yeah, I think Mike Evans in a good spot here. Now, Miami, not awful against wide receivers. We know that. But I mean, it's a must-win game for the Bucs. I mean, if they lose, they still have a 36% chance to make. But that comes down to the Week 18 matchup against Carolina. That could be one of the best matchups of Week 18 is the Bucs and the Panthers. But yeah, I think I just go Mike Evans this week. Peter, you here?
I am here.
Oh my God, you're so loud.
Sorry,
Can't
I'm
see
loud.
you.
Oh no, well my camera's stuck on my stream. That's why I'm stuck on. I'm here though. I'm here. You don't need to see my face.
Oh, what's up, bro?
Bro, what's up? Nice win. Crazy game. Malik Willis was the pickup, I guess, for everybody. Forget Tyler Shuck. It was Malik Willis.
Malik Willis is the waiver wire out of the year.
Unbelievable. Derrick Henry, what he dropped like a 50 burger in standard leagues over here. Unbelievable.
I know. Derrick Henry is the king for a reason.
It's fine. I'm going to win League 4, so it doesn't matter.
We are happy that you're going to be a champ this year.
Well, my team has to show up, but I'm very favored to win this game, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, I haven't looked at most of the leagues that I'm not in the playoffs in, so I didn't even know you were in the chip there.
Yeah, you're gonna win. You're gonna win the toilet bowl in one league too. You're gonna win. Yeah.
Here we go. Here's Pete's. Hold on, let me take this off the.
Yeah, Underdog. You don't pay us enough. Calm down. I got a nice break here with Chris Rodriguez.
Oh, he did start Rodriguez against you.
Yeah,
and he had Ladd.
Ladd had a literal goose egg until they said something on the broadcast, and then he caught a 30-yard pass.
I know, but still, I only had 4 points. You know.
Yes, I needed Reed beating Jeff. I only needed Reed to beat Jefferson. DK Metcalf kind of hurts.
What hurts that even more for the opponent is he had Bill. He could have swapped.
Yup.
Wow, that sucks.
That sucks. I'm not going to complain, but it'll come down to Stafford, obviously.
Man, you do have McBride against the Bengals.
That's a very good matchup for me right there. That is a positive matchup even with Hunter Henry, who's against the Jets. I think McBride's a better matchup.
I remember us drafting this in this league now. This is your Metcalf team. You got the punching man himself.
I do have the punching man himself. And Woody Mark. I was stuck, so I was stuck between Reed and Woody Mark, so they were pushed anyway, so not a huge deal.
And it happens. All right, let's see what we got here. Kittle misses, Tunges or Warren. I'm going Tunges here.
Yeah.
Tyler Warren just hasn't been there. He's getting targets from Phil Rivers, but
he can't get the ball. He can't get the ball to him. He had the touchdown throw to him that he kind of short armed on that. Yeah. I think it was 3rd or 4th down. Tunges just makes plays, man. He's going to be a good tight end, I think, in the league.
Yeah, and I mean, the nice thing with Tunges is it still feels risky, but we at least saw those games earlier in the season with no Kittle that make you feel good.
And the Bears are missing like 3 or 4 guys on the defense. I think they all got the flu or maybe mono from, Caleb was doing the nails and they coughed in their face. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but they're all sick in Chicago and they won the division. What are they playing for? The Bears are done. They're not winning the 1 seed. They're done.
It's a good point. And man, this Niners team right now, I just want pieces of it in my lineup here in week 17. But yeah, the Bears defense is not good. Not good.
No, they're super turnover dependent. You can score touchdowns and get yards against them.
Second most touchdowns given up to wide receivers on the season. So I guess these are tight ends, but still, it's Tyler Warren. I don't trust it. Would you agree that luck is a giant factor in fantasy? Yeah, definitely. It is.
We would win every league if it was luck wasn't involved. Come on. What do you mean? John's a professional over here.
Yeah, I mean, it comes
it's
down
luck.
to
It's football.
Yeah. You never know.
We've literally had press conference guys where Jim Harbaugh doesn't know which running back is going to get the carries for a game. It's like, is it going to be Vidal? Is it going to be Hampton? Who knows? Whoever feels better. It's just it's dumb. It's luck. There's a little skill, but to win a championship, it is luck heavy.
Yep. Hurts or Burrow? I think I'd play Burrow, man. This Cardinals-Bengals game just feels like we're going to get points.
And it feels like maybe a Saquon day. We might get a Saquon day in Buffalo. Rain, like snow, wintry mix. They had some pretty good success running the football last week against Washington. Yep. Saquon, I think it could be a Saquon. Maybe A.J. Brown, like one big throw. But I think we're going to see a ground and pound game. Keep the ball away from Josh Allen. And Burrow's back. He's out. He's back. He's playing in Minnesota next year. He's very happy. Doesn't matter what's going on.
Yeah. And, I touched on that earlier. Like, it just feels like, Hurts is always a good start. I don't think he's a bad start, but the upside might be capped. Like, the Bills really want to win this game, but the Eagles, like, they don't need to win this game at all.
Especially with the Niners. Like, if the Bears were going to win, yes, they need to win the game to get the 2. Like, the Eagles want the 2. You want the 2 seed in the NFC. It's a decent route home. You have to go to probably the Seahawks, like maybe the 49ers. But they're not about that.
They want to win, but they don't need to. Like, it's
a vibes thing, right? Like, because the Eagles' vibes are so bad. Like, they need to win because the fans the fans don't care. They'll like mutiny, and who knows what will happen.
Yeah. But and I also agree. It's the weakest part of that Bills defense is against the run, and Saquon's been on a tear, and I don't think that's going to slow down this week. And the Bills are good at limiting the quarterback position and wide receivers. So
good pass defense because everybody runs on them.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If Hurts has 30 points, I'm not going to be surprised. But I think he's still a lock for a good 18 to 20 points. But
he's the prototypical very safe floor. Don't expect a huge blowout day, but it depends what kind of game you're in. If you need a huge day from a quarterback. Because I have like a guy in my chat. He's like, I'm starting Brissett because I'm super behind the 8 ball after the Christmas games over Hurts. And it's like, that makes sense. Brissett has a super high upside. Roll the dice. Hurts probably has a very high, like a mediocre floor to good floor. And if you're behind the 8 ball, you got to roll the dice for a huge day.
Right. Yeah, Burrow, that matchup. I'm just in my head, all I can see points. The Jacoby Burrow Bowl.
And the weather's really good too. Like, it'll be a little cold, but the weather is relatively really good for this part of December in Cincinnati.
So I'm gonna lean Burrow, but Hurts still good. All right, what about Henderson or Swift? Swift gives you the floor, but Henderson has the upside. if
you're worried about the hit. Like Henderson gets one hit, head
Yeah.
injury, like he's out. Swift is a much safer play.
Yeah. And like I touched on it throughout the stream, it's just like there's still a very real possibility that Henderson is active, but very limited because they want him for the playoffs. And like Ramondre has he's had tons of involvement over the past 3 weeks. So
he finished the game really strong against Baltimore.
Yeah.
And that's like a super Mike Vrabel thing to do. It's like, oh yeah, he's active and he gets 2 carries or 0 carries. Like Mike Vrabel doesn't care about your fantasy team. He cares about like deception and winning the game. And he trusts Ramondre, obviously.
But it's just such a good matchup. The Jets are so bad.
The Jets are so bad.
That's what makes it tough. Like that Henderson could get 8 carries and 2 of them could be touched. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But also, wouldn't it be like a super Jets game? Like the Patriots play bad and the Jets are super competitive in this game, and it's like a 13-10 game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that could happen too. Yeah. Kind of like the Broncos Chiefs game. Not that the Jets and Chiefs are comparable still, but like where it was just disappointing, you know. Let's see. You're welcome, Thomas. Happy holidays to you. Henderson or Sampson? I would just go Henderson here. Yeah. I mean, I know like Sampson's come up a few times tonight, and I think he's fine, but I just don't want to go out of my way to start Sampson, excuse me. He's still technically listed as questionable. He's probably going to play, but I think Raheem Sanders could get some involvement. Harold Fanning could get touches out of the backfield. Who knows? I just go Henderson here. Would you start Sampson over JT? Probably not.
No. Trust.
I'd go JT. Ty, out there on the waivers, Kyle Williams, AD Mitchell, John Mechie. Yeah, you're in a bad spot. I would still go Coker or Pearsall over those guys. I do kind of like Kyle Williams. Have Pittman in. Yeah, I don't really trust Pittman. Started Allen over QJ. Regret it. Yeah, Keenan Allen has not been. It just hasn't been there. Cinnabon Kings of the North, as our GM once said, we're going to take the North and never give it back. We'll see. I like the Ben Johnson swagger right now. Pick 3, just ran into Derrick Henry. Had to take a huge calculated risk. Henderson, ETN, McMillan, Michael Wilson, and Bucky. I will go ETN for sure. I'd throw Henderson in just for the upside. That's what you're going for. And I go Michael Wilson. Even with MH on the field, it's going to maybe be a shootout. So who would you be able to give your take? Would you be able to give your take who to start? Burrow or Lawrence? I mean, that's like yeah.
Well, yeah.
Do
we trust Trevor? Do we trust him still?
Oh, I do. I'm like as in on Trevor as anybody. But I will say this, like the Bengals are at home. The Jags, I don't know that they're going to need to throw as much.
They run the ball really well lately, too.
I will say this. I do think the Colts are going to come out here and do whatever they can to win this game, even though they have nothing to play for. They're going to try and spoil a divisional opponent, even though it only benefits another divisional opponent.
Yeah, everything's locked up. Everybody there's only 2 playoff spots available technically in the NFL, and they're both divisions. Seeding, there's some seeding movement, but it's the AFC North and the NFC South, which we obviously knew the NFC South would come down to last week. It's the NFC
it's like
South.
if the Colts win, it really only benefits the Texans.
Yeah. And I feel like the Colts hate the Texans more, even though they haven't won in Jacksonville since Andrew Luck. So maybe they do hate the Colts more or the Jags more.
I think I'm going to trust my gut and go say T-Law here, though, because I mean, the problem is you can't go wrong. We talked about it earlier. Like, I got like Stafford versus T-Law and like Purdy and T-Law. I mean, like, these guys are all going to have really good weeks. So good.
I'm interested to see, what do you think about Stafford? Like, I feel like Stafford, like, this is like the Rams are super pissed off. I feel like Stafford Monday night MVP, like they gotta get him the MVP. I feel like this is like a 5 touchdown night for Stafford.
I touched on it a little bit earlier in the stream, and I talked about how I do really see that being a possibility. Like the Rams, they get some extra time to rest here, Thursday to Monday, and then like
the Falcons are feeling great. They've won 2 in a row. Like, like Kirko, good luck.
The Falcons are so wishy-washy that like I could just see the Rams coming out here and hanging like 45, and like Colby Parkinson has 2 touchdowns, and like Puka, Kyron, Blake Corum, everybody has a big game. So I'm there with you. And I mean, in terms of maybe trying to get him the MVP and all of that. And I mean, if the Seahawks lose, then the division is wide open there. So trying to get that number 1 seed is still alive.
It doesn't even matter what the Seahawks do.
That's true.
If the Niners beat the Bears, it's next weekend for that 1 seed. Which God bless the 49ers for even being at this point. And I have to root against the Seahawks. My buddy works for the Seahawks. He gets a bonus. They're going to the playoffs. He gets a Super Bowl bonus. But I told him I have to be right on my Sam Darnold take. So the Seahawks have to lose. He was terrible last week. The referee screwed the Rams. I have to be right on my Sam Darnold take. He's bad in the playoffs. So, sorry. I might be biased on that one. I can't talk about that.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Getting back to the question. It's a long one. Burrow or Lawrence, it's not going to make or break your week. I really don't think it is. I mean, maybe it will. It's fantasy, but you can't go wrong there.
You don't feel bad with either pick. Like, you're not,
It would be really hard to feel bad there. CMC, JT, Henderson, Carter, Charbonnet, Spears, B-Rob. CMC, JT, and this is tough because your wide receivers are loaded. Puka, Tet, Higgins, Michael Wilson. So you're going to play Puka. You're going to play Higgins. Then the flex, is it Henderson or Michael Wilson? We'll say Michael Wilson gives you the floor. Henderson gives you the upside. Charbonnet is in the mix too. Tight end, Tunges, Warren, Bates. Tunges, here's the problem. If you're going to lean on Tunges, he doesn't play, or we don't know if Kittle's going to play or not. And that game's Sunday night, and the Colts play out in the early slate on Sunday. So you might just have to go Tyler Warren. Patriots defense is a great play this week, so you're good there. So yeah, QB, you're fine. CMC, JT, you got to play him. Puka, Higgins, you got to play. Flex is kind of up in the air there. Unless, am I reading this right? You have 2 flexes? Oh, you do. So I play Henderson and Michael Wilson. So you're good. Tight end, you're in a kind of a tough spot. Kittle situation, Jawan or wait for Kittle / Tunges. Man, I think Jawan's going to have another really nice week. I think this Titans Saints game, I think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be.
And you know what? This is a great game for like future fantasy implications, like young quarterbacks, lots of, can we see there's some playmakers out there? Like, I expect Tony Pollard to have a nice day. The Saints defense has been one of these sneaky good defenses for the year. They had like a dud early in Seattle, but other than that, like Tyler Shuck's awesome. We talked about, like, we laugh like there's 5 starting quarterbacks for this week, and Tyler Shuck is easily one of the 5 like must-start quarterbacks this weekend in fantasy. And I think Cam Ward's actually coming along really well. So this is like a fun, if you're a football junkie, this is a fantastic game to watch with fantasy implications all over the place.
Yeah, and this is one I've talked a lot about throughout the week. Like, both of these offenses right now, they're not playing for anything, but they are playing for a lot at the same. Like, they're not playing for playoffs at all, but both of these teams are trying to see what they have in their young quarterbacks. So they're coming out every week and doing whatever they can to win. And here's an interest. I mean, Jawan Johnson, if he gets 67 more receiving yards on the season, gets $250,000 bonus. So I really like him. And then you mentioned Tony Pollard. He needs 151 rushing yards for a $250,000 bonus. 2 more rushing touchdowns can add another $200,000 to that. So if you guys can go look up Week 17 NFL incentives, I encourage you guys to do so because, I mean, not all of them are going to happen. Like a big one last week was still Dawson Knox needs one more catch to get $100,000. So like people were slamming Dawson Knox last week, and I think he needed 2 catches. So he got 1 last week. Now it's down to 1 catch, but he only had 2 points last week. Fantasy.
Don't bet that, guys, because Vegas knows that too. So they said the lines. They said the lines over like a half a point over what they need. So you need to really clear it.
And some of these guys will, like Hunter Henry needs 3 catches. Stephon Diggs needs 4 catches, 131 receiving yards. Like Barkley needs 155 yards from scrimmage. Barkley might not hit it because unless he does it this week, I don't know if he's really going to play much next week.
I would bet Diggs gets his this week. Like Diggs will be barking at. Diggs is someone who's going to bark at his quarterback to get me the ball, so I hit my overs.
And like all the Patriots wide receivers are hurt, so he's in a good.
True, Mac Hollins on the IR. Sneaky huge impact with Mac Hollins out. Like Hunter Henry and Diggs get super valuable, I think, right now.
Oh, man, Hunter Henry only needs 3 catches. Man, I got to look at Hunter Henry's receptions lines. Anyways.
Save it for the video. Save it for the gambling video.
That's true. I would probably just play Jawan Johnson, but the problem is I wouldn't want you to sit George Kittle if he does play, because Kittle's a player. He's like, Amon-Ra St. Brown on Thanksgiving or whatever it was. Or
wait, what did he do on Christmas? What did Amon-Ra do? Get cooked? Wait, what?
Well, he still had 14 fantasy points, so he was the one.
Trash.
He was the one shining, or the one positive out of an awful day, at least fantasy wise. But gosh, what a bad game, man.
What a great game. What are you talking about? This is elite football right there. Defensive god over here. Well, Jordan Addison of all people showed up.
That's my guy, Jordan Addison. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, freaking. I said it all year long, right? This Vikings defense we can't sneeze up. I said it every video.
So my buddy, how funny is this? Last week I was in the semifinals of my big money like friends league. He played Minnesota's defense against me. He sat the Vikings D this week. He cut him and played the Patriots D against the Jets. And I was teasing the shit out of him. I was like, bro, how do you not trust B-Flow? Like, come on, it's the Lions. I don't care that the number 1 offense. We're going to cook. It's like, surely the Patriots will deliver. It's like, nah, man, the Jets are going to score all day against them. It's going to be a 40-45 affair in New York this weekend.
Nice. Yeah, it's just it's one of these things with George Kittle. It's like him coming off an injury, I trust him.
Yeah.
So it's like I just remember Amon-Ra coming off of the ankle issue. It's like that's a player who, like, if he's gonna play, I'm gonna start him, and he was fine. And the following week,
he was great that week, if I recall, too. And he was
6 catches, 92 yards. Then
the
following,
super not supposed to play that week,
right? Really, 90% of players wouldn't have played, right? Then the following week had 41 points against the Rams. So that's just tough, man. But the safest play here, I think, is Jawan Johnson. Doug, I finished 6 in 4 leagues. Is that bad? We've seen worse.
Out of how many?
Yeah.
6 out of 6.
Defense, Eagles, Jags, or Saints. I'm not playing the Eagles defense. I can tell you that much. Not against the Bills. I had this one earlier. I'll say Jags give you a floor. Saints give you upside, but a lot of risk. I think Saints defense, I think, will be okay. But I kind of worry we're going to see a lot of offense in that game.
Jags have good turnover upside. Like Phil could throw picks, and we saw the pick 6 last week.
Yeah. I think I could easily see the Jags giving up some garbage time points, and kind of like the Niners basically did. But the turnover potential is definitely still there. All right, Ty's still got Brissett, Bijan, A-Chain, McBride, Pollard, Pitts. Yeah, okay. I wouldn't be too concerned about your wide receiver issues. Team looks very good outside of that. All right, let's see. Corum, Pollard, or Carter. I've really gravitated towards Blake Corum this week. And once again, like I just think that the Rams are going to have a good game. And Blake Corum just is a start. Like really no different than Kyron Williams. Like you just start these guys if you have them.
Plenty of touches, plenty of red zone touches. I feel like they prefer him for the first touchdown in the game. Anyway, they just get him in there, get the touchdown.
Yeah.
Good. Obviously, there's not a bad choice on those three, though.
Yeah, there's not. I think I would play Corum, but I like Pollard. I'd put him in this exact order: Corum, Pollard, then Carter. I mean, Carter holds the risk, but he has a great matchup.
Yeah, I'm throwing Carter out there in the flex this week in that league, in the championship league. I think he's a very good flex start.
Yeah, I'm playing him in a meaningless. Well, no, it's somewhat in a third place matchup. I mean, third place gets a small payout, but yeah, I think he's fine. But the problem is Amari DeMarcado could get touches, and so could the other. What is his name?
The Cardinals could also be down 43-17 at this point, and nobody scored a touchdown, and it's all garbage time.
They could throw 5 touchdowns, you know.
I'll tell you what, the Cardinals are the best garbage team to ever exist in the history of football. Like that team is always down 17-0, and then Jacoby Brissett scores 24-34 unanswered. It's like, oh, we lost this game 44-28. Okay, I got some fantasy points though.
Just a weird team. Very weird team this year. Yeah, I play Corum here, but I do like Pollard. Have PPR have Kittle and Fannin, both questionables. Would you wait and play Tunges? No, I mean, Fannin's going to play, so I'd probably just roll with Fannin. Like, you know, he's as good of a start as you're going to get at tight end. I mean, he's at 11 or more fantasy points in 4 straight games, 4 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. And I talked about it earlier. The Browns are playing for nothing, but they can spoil a divisional opponent, which once again would only benefit the Ravens. But the Browns are at home. They're going to try and beat the Steelers.
Myles Garrett, anytime sack. Aaron Rodgers will give it to him.
You know he's going to give it to him. Yeah.
Get money. Since he said Jared Allen is the sack holder and he should have got that sack against Rodgers, Rodgers will give it to Myles because of respect.
Yeah.
Bet it.
Bet it.
I'm starting Fannin though. Fannin Shador just checks it down to Fannin. If you're in a half PPR league, Fannin is absolute money.
Yeah, he's going to end the season strong. It's like another situation where when there's young players like this, you know, they're going to get them involved and see what they've got going into the following year. Even though Kevin Stefanski will ruin it anyways, but Shadur Sanders,
new head coach.
Yeah. You know they're going to hold on. You know, what are the Browns?
No, I heard he's done. I heard he's cooked. I heard they're firing him.
He should be.
Come back to Minnesota. Be our offensive coordinator. Call plays. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
I think he's
not a bad play caller.
Yeah, definitely. But the Browns need to reboot for sure. But yeah, in this situation, Fannin is expected to play. I think he'll be okay. I just play Fannin here. Additional context on Kittle. Projected to win by 20. Already playing it safe, sitting Hindi for Swift. Am I playing it too safe with Jawan? The rest of my lineup got Caleb, Etienne, Jamar, Evans. Well, you don't want to overlook projections, even if you're already in a decent spot, unless you had like, I don't know. Unless you were playing against somebody who started like J-Mo, Nico Collins, and CeeDee Lamb, and you have
and Goff.
Goff, and you have Derrick Henry, Omarion Hampton, and Amon-Ra and Zay Flowers or something. You know, there's obviously points where you can start to feel pretty good, but 20 points, I would still say, you know, you got to get all your players to hit at least close to their projections before you can feel good. But I don't think there's anything wrong here going Swift over Henderson and Jawan Johnson over Kittle to feel better. Once again, the problem just becomes if the bigger problem for me is if Kittle does play, then you've already played Jawan Johnson. I would still rather play Kittle, but
Yeah, but like, what's the like realistically? If both guys are average, there's not a super huge difference between Kittle and Jawan Johnson. Like, obviously, Kittle has the higher ceiling. Like, Kittle could have a massive game. But I think Jawan Johnson's a very, like, that's a super safe. I would be ecstatic if that was my tight end 2 option behind Kittle. And, like, Swift versus Hendy, like, Swift could have a monster day regardless. I would probably play Swift over Hendy no matter what. Like, it's the Jets. Like, yeah, the Jets, but there's still the Ramondre Stevenson. So I like that a lot. If super safe, it's not like playing, I'm going to play, I don't know, God, TJ Hawkins, he already played, but whatever. Somebody like a middle tier tight end. Like Jawan Johnson's still a very super solid tight end, regardless. So that's not too safe for me. With Kittle.
Just had a huge game.
And you're in a great spot. You're sitting in a very good spot, regardless.
Yeah, it's I don't have any problem here just going Jawan Johnson and going with, because the other thing is, like, if Kittle does play, I mean, once again, we touched on it earlier, he's one of these players that you trust, but it's like, is he going to be limited? Like, how much volume is he? How much do they actually end up using Tunges anyways? Then Ricky Pearsall might play. Like, I don't know. I do like that game script. I do think it'll be competitive, but at the same time, you got good enough players. I do agree with what Pete said there. Like, it's not like you're looking at Colby Parkinson or AJ Gardner, Hunter Henry, like somebody who's a bit more volatile. The floor is still pretty safe with Jawan Johnson.
You're playing a guy who 10 other teams in your league would start. Like, that's a tight end 1 start no matter what every week.
So yeah, I think he'll be good. And the projections still look pretty positive overall there. My opponent had Malik go crazy. He's a lunatic for starting him.
Good on him. Great call. My mother started Tyler Shuck in the 3rd place game, and she should have started Malik.
Yeah, in a single quarterback league, I don't know what would have inspired you to start Malik Willis this week, unless you had like,
there's nobody available. He's the number 1. Yeah. Like, you had Love, and nobody's out there.
I guess that's true. If you had Love, Lamar, I
would have started Malik over Snoop, wouldn't you?
Over Shuck?
No. Like, say somebody had Shuck. Like, somebody could have picked up Shuck 2 weeks ago. If for like the run, like, Shuck's been pretty decent for a few weeks now. And it's like Malik and like Snoop Huntley or
I would have gone Malik.
Nobody's playing Max Brosmer or Josh Johnson out there on Thursday night or Chris Oladokun, so Malik could have been the guy if you were just in a bad spot.
That's fair. We've seen it all here. So he has McBride, Kyron, and Trey Tucker. Well, I would not be worried about Trey Tucker.
No.
So that's one positive. The other guys I would be a bit concerned about. But yeah, man, good luck to you. We'll see how it shakes out. All right, guys, we are at the bottom of the chat finally. So we'll wrap it up here. If you guys need anything, make sure you get it in the chat quickly. I just want to make sure that I went live. But yeah, we went for about 2 hours, so not bad tonight. I definitely wanted to make sure we got a week 17 stream in, and definitely glad Pete could hop on here too to wrap it up for the season. And like I said earlier, we'll have plenty of content still coming, so don't worry, guys. All right, I got one super chat here. Aaron, thank you for the super chat. I'm going to wait till I can pull it up on the screen. There we go. All right, need big upside, full PPR, wide receiver, Evans or Wilson. Tight end, Jawan Johnson or Taysom Hill. Got Brissett at QB. I'm going Mike Evans here. And I still like Michael Wilson. We've touched on that game throughout the stream. The potential for a high-scoring game is there. But the Bucs have to win this game. Literal must-win game for them. The Dolphins don't intimidate me defensively right now. I'm going Mike Evans. Michael Wilson still with Marvin Harrison in the game. Didn't really do anything last week. He just had that weird, crazy touchdown. I'm going Mike Evans. I'm going to go Jawan Johnson. I'm going to take the floor over Taysom Hill. But if you want to go Taysom Hill, I can't blame you. I can't. But I would personally play Evans, Jawan Johnson. Another super chat here. Full PPR flex Stevenson, Corum, or DJ Moore. Yeah, that is tough. I like all these guys this week. I mean, Luther Burden will be back, but DJ Moore is going to continue to get good volume. The Niners defense does not scare me. I just think that game's going to be higher scoring. Blake Corum, we've touched on. He's a super safe floor. And Stevenson's going to be in a great spot against arguably the worst run defense in the NFL. But Henderson is going to play too. So very, very close here. I would say Corum for the floor. And if you want a bit more upside, it's DJ Moore, or I don't want to say upside for Stevenson, but kind of due to the matchup. So it's just tough to bench a guy like Blake Corum. He's been so good. You know what to expect. And we touched on it earlier. We like the Rams this week. So kind of lean Blake Corum. I feel like I've said Blake Corum for every Corum question. But
he's been nails for us the last 2 weeks.
He's been great. And like through that same stretch that he's been great in, Kyron's been great. So you can't even you can't be worried about either guy.
Well, Devontae Hurt also helps a lot because they lose their red zone option and run the ball in the red zone.
I miss, Devontae getting hurt was very painful for me in a certain league, but oh well. All right, here's a good one to wrap things up from Cinnabon. How does Pete feel having the 2 worst quarterbacks in the NFL on his team while Darnold is balling out?
Darnold has not played good against a single competent defense. He was dog shit last weekend against the Rams. The NFL officiating bailed him out. That should not have been a 2-point conversion. They should have replayed the try. The whistle blew. Nobody had recovered the football. The Vikings are the 8th seed right now in the playoffs. If the stupid Cowboys clock operator worked the clock correctly and the Cowboys won that game and not a tie, the Packers-Vikings would be for a playoff spot next week. And it'd be Clayton Tune against J.J. McCarthy and Brian Flores' god-tier defense right now. So, Packers fans, fillet us, thank us. And Lions fans, I hate to break it to you, but I told you so. 4th place in the dumpster. We're just like dicking around with the 2 worst quarterbacks. We're in 3rd place. Like, whatever, bro. 8-8. It's fine. 9-8. We're easily going to be 9-8 next week against Clayton Tune. Like, whatever, bro. It happens.
I did not realize till literally after this past week that the Vikings even had 7 wins this year.
We've won 4 in a row. We're in 3rd place, and we beat the Lions twice this year. Jared Goff 0 for 2 against the Vikings this year. So everyone was clowning on the Vikings as JJ McCarthy, like, 14 wins, missed the playoffs. The Lions are now the biggest drop-off in NFL history from wins from season to season. And they haven't hurt, their entire offense is fine. What happened, guys?
That is crazy about the Vikings. Like, they would be in the playoff mix if the
Cowboys clock operator literally ran that last second off on the last play in overtime instead of giving the Packers a chance to kick a field goal, hit it 0.
Okay.
Nobody replays it. The Packers lose. It would be literally a playoff game next week. And McCarthy's going to play next week, I think. And I'd be feeling really, really good against Malik Willis or Clayton Tune. Maybe Jordan Love plays. If it's a playoff game, they force Jordan Love to play. But still, I feel really good. Flores' defense is out of their minds right now.
Yeah, the Vikings got to extend him.
We're trying. The NFL still suing him. It's a good thing for us. He's still in lawsuit against the league, so nobody will hire him as a head coach. But we will extend him, hopefully.
It has been a very sneaky advantage.
Very, very sneaky advantage.
As we start to wrap up, Ray Gamer, got to get these answered for an OG here. In the final, should I go Seahawks or Patriots defense? You got to go Patriots.
But yeah,
got to go Patriots. Yeah, not 100%. Even close.
Nah,
that's easy. Don't know what to do with Kittle and standard league. Should I go Fannin or Strange or just wait for Kittle? I just played Fannin. I just play Fannin. And yeah, if you get in a situation you can pick up Tunges, that's fine. But I just play Fannin. Fannin's been super good, super consistent. He's going to get the volume. Just go Fannin. Should be easy. Or you can try and wait for Kittle. I mean, he might play. And if he doesn't, he could go Tunges. But Fannin has been productive enough that you can just roll him out there and feel good for sure. So. All right, boys and girls, that should do it for the night. Hit the 2-hour mark. We got Pete in here, and we got a week 17 stream in. So all the boxes are checked. And like I said, we'll still have plenty of content rolling throughout the course of the off season. Got some different stuff. We'll be announcing on Discord. We'll be doing the fantasy league for the NFL playoff league as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned. It's free to join, and there are cash prizes. So just let me know if and when you guys join, and I can get you guys in the catch leagues. And other than that, just stay tuned and make sure you guys are subscribed to the Dynasty channel.
John, are we going to live stream a playoff? We gotta do a playoff game together. Come on. There's
we will we'll figure out something. And
just a lot of games. Both our teams suck. We can hang out and talk fantasy and have fun watching a game with everybody.
Make sure you guys are subscribed to Pete's channel. That link's in there. And yeah, Pete and I will be doing some stuff for playoffs as well. NFL playoffs, that is. And yeah, I'll be having plenty of content coming your guys' way. So it'll all be on Discord and announced. So make sure you guys are staying tuned. And good luck to everybody in the fantasy championship or whatever round you're in this weekend. Cinnabon says, have a good night, John. Go Bears, Kings of the North. And we'll let Pete sign off with that being said.
Appreciate everybody. Love this community. You know, we didn't have as many live streams this year, but been here throughout. We're doing the videos. Kicker videos, awesome this week. Let's bring home those dubs. Unless you are playing me in Catch League number 4, I need to bring that ring home just for credibility sake. If you want to check me out, head over to After Review Sports. Live streams, videos, shorts throughout the weeks, just talking regular football. But this is the #1 spot for fantasy. I tell everybody, come over here. We'll get all your fantasy. What a great year, guys. Incredible year. Can't wait for next year. We got the full off season. Like last off season, we were kind of weak sauce. Like this off season is going to be like, oh, you're going to get sick of us because you're going to see us every other day talking fantasy, dynasty, regular fantasy draft. It's going to all be there. So appreciate everybody. Good luck to everyone. This is the week that we bring it home. So let's do it as long as you're not playing May this weekend.
Everyone in the chat, big round of applause for Pete for helping with editing this year and for doing the kicker videos. And like you said,
Cameron Dicker on the shit list forever after today. God, come on, man.
I did think about that during the game, but you know,
he had his worst game in his NFL career today. Come on, my guy.
It happens, but yeah, kickers can be tricky. But yeah, I mean, 3 games of double digits to 2 points was not great. Not great.
He had never missed a kick inside of 40. He missed a 32-yarder and an extra point.
It's the nature of the beast.
Unbelievable.
Oh. All right, guys. Good luck to everybody. Hope you guys all crush it in your championships. And like I said, we'll talk to you guys soon. So with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch, and peace.